ready to start. History Museum. Oh, is it getting darker in here?
There is a feeling that other people die, not you. But surely in your heart, you know that it might be you.
We're just in the barracks, and the sergeant came through and said, we're looking for volunteers for airborne troops. And he says, the jump pay is $50 a month.
It was something brand new. They couldn't get people to go in. It had to be volunteer. They couldn't just draft you in there. So I thought that was the best thing in the world.
I got off the bus at Fort Benning, Georgia, and I'm trudging on down the road with my barracks bag on my shoulder, and I heard this aircraft coming up on my right. And all at once, guys started flying out the door. And that was the first time I had an inkling of what the hell I was getting myself into.
They seem like they're determined to get you so scared. The famous one is, if your chute doesn't open, bring it back and we'll give you another one.
The training was arduous. I wrote to my mother, I said, I don't know how the hell I'm going to survive this thing, but I'm not going to give up. Almost 2 years we were training. You became very close to your buddies. I mean, you just made up your mind you were going to do it, come hell or high water. And that was part of the beginning of the brotherhood.
Any combat soldier goes through that same anxiety because everybody knew that some of us weren't going to come back.
We knew something big was going to happen, and I think we were about as ready as you could get. It's just kind of like clockwork. You know what your mission is, you know what you're going to do. Everybody was gung-ho. The night of the jump, I remember we were coloring up, painting our faces. And Gunny, he was a sergeant in the machine gun platoon. He was kind of a live wire, and he walked up to me and he took me by the hand and he said, Johnny, he said, kill as many of those bastards as you do before you go.
Flight leader said, you look a little nervous. This was just when we were getting ready to take off. And he said, what do you want to do, live forever?
And I looked at my watch, it was 1 minute to 12. 1 minute to 8 a.m. I can remember the breaks of the clouds and looking out at the ships down below. There was hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, but they looked like they were stepping stones. I can remember the guys were exclaiming about it, probably the greatest invasion in the history of the world.
It was hot in the plane, it was cramped, and some of us started getting air sick. They had this hot bucket, but the bucket couldn't get to each one, so they just let it go right on the floor. Of course, it created such a stench. I didn't care what happened. I just wanted to get out of that airplane.
Well, I remember looking out of the aircraft, there was a real bright light coming, and the aircraft made an immediate 45 and started over the Normandy Peninsula.
Coming in and we start getting shot at, I heard pretty hardened guys praying the Our Father. I imagine that was the first time they were praying in years. There's nothing else you could do but wait for the one to blow you out of sleep.
Some guys stood by the door when all at once the red light came on and stand up and look up.
three of us were closest to the door got out, nobody else.
I remember standing in a barracks room back at the main station and hearing someone say, "Smith got killed yesterday." I could picture his face and recall his voice. He was an actual person out of my life. Somewhere in the building, someone was playing a piano, and the sound of the piano is a part of the story as I remember it.
On a Friday night after work, I got a telegram that said he had been slightly wounded. And my thought was, oh good, now he'll be coming home. But just a few days later, my mother called. They had received another telegram that said he had been killed, that he had died. I cried and I cried. Years later, I would dream about him coming home, and he was an old man, but he didn't remember me. He just couldn't place who I was. But I could see him, I could hear him talk. I told my mother, this can't be the good earth that I've always known. This must be hell.
I'm saying 2009.
Mm-hmm. Pretty incredible war, isn't it?
Man.
You should study it. Your grandpa did. He loved it.
Yeah, I actually will.
I think it's over and you can turn off your recording.
Alright.